And we back. Now today just felt like a day where I wanted to sit down, turn on the camera, and have some good old-fashioned basketball talk. Because recently the rebuilds have been kind of taking over the channel, but this is something I love to do too. I think the last one we did was before the trade deadline, and obviously so much has happened since then. So what we're doing is sitting down and just rambling about all 30 teams. Sometimes it's going to be positive, sometimes it's going to be negative, but it's basically my thoughts about all the teams right now with like, what, 20 regular season games to go. So be sure to leave it a like. I may say some stuff you like, you don't like, but regardless, I hope you do enjoy the video. Let's get to the first team. First team is the Atlanta Hawks. This is one of those teams that I found myself tuning in to watch more often than a lot of the teams that are bad because they have some exciting pieces, right? Trae Young is always fun to watch when he's nutmegging people, pulling from the logo and throwing lobs to whoever's out there. And then we also have just a young core of players that I've been seeing, at least this season, progress. Like DeAndre Hunter, I think on the season he's shooting 30% from three, but over the last month or so he's been shooting like 45%. That is amazing. So we basically just saw his progression, or starting to see his progression to the place where the Atlanta Hawks want him to go. I wish we could see Clint Capella, but I think he's got 3 or 4 more games left, because when they traded for him, they said he's going to be out for like 7 to 10 games. So far, it's been like 6 games, so like 4 more games until we get to see Clint Capella, and I'm ready to see his pick and roll with Trae Young, because obviously Trae Young is one of the best pick and roll players in the NBA. Celtics, baby. There are a few guys on this roster that I absolutely love. Carson Edwards, Tremont Waters, because my short kings, you know, stand up. But obviously the 2 young wings, man. Jason Tatum has been one of the best players in the NBA over the past month or so, but Jaylen Brown is my dude, man. I love watching Jaylen Brown. I love two-way guys. Y'all know that. Whether it be Marcus Smart, who I really like, Patrick Beverly, all these two-way guys have a special place in my heart because I love players that can get down and gritty on the defensive side of the ball. Now, when Jason Tatum, not Jason Tatum, but when Jaylen Brown got that contract this offseason, there are a lot of people like, man, the Celtics really overpaid. He's not going to blossom, yada, yada, yada. He's already this many years into his NBA career. Especially when you think about the offseason, he played overseas for Team USA, and he was okay. But he got to the regular season, he was like, okay, let me hit the next step. And now he's averaging 20 points per game, playing incredible defense. I love those guys. So the Nets, obviously, you guys are a playoff team. You pretty much secured it. I mean, a lot of things can happen in 20 games, but you'd have to go on a dramatic losing streak to lose your playoff spot. So you pretty much locked it up, but you're probably losing 4 or 5, you know what I'm saying? But this season, this is not about this season. It's about the future when Kyrie and KD come back. And then you have Caris LeVert as your third option, man. Just the other night, Caris LeVert taking over the 4th quarter in the overtime was amazing. He was on fire. It seemed like he could not miss a single shot. When he stepped to the free throw line and hit those 3 free throws, he had a deadpan look, and he was like, I'm going to knock these down. And he did. So obviously, it's cool to make the playoffs again, but y'all really looking forward to next season, and I am too. We got the Hornets. Now, the Hornets are one of the surprising teams early into the season. I was making jokes before the season started, like, why would you watch the Hornets? And they were jokes. But then the regular season hit. They smashed my Bulls in the first game of the season. And then Devontae Graham started off so hot. Eventually, he cooled down, but he's still pretty decent. But the one thing I really like about this team is PJ Washington. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I just feel like he's going to be one of those players that may not ever hit stardom, but he's always going to be a solid player for your team, man. The ability to switch, like, he's small enough that he can switch on pick and rolls and also hit his shots. Those are 2 things that can keep you in the league for a long time. The Bulls. Obviously, we ain't playing for much, but there's one bright spot, and that is my guy, Kobe White. And yes, I can say my guy because we've hung out before. Technically, he came into the podcast and everything, but I love seeing Kobe blossom. He even admitted to some reporters and stuff that he hit a rookie wall when it came to December, and now February he was the rookie of the month, and then now just starting off in March, he's, you know, he put up another 24-point game. So though the Bulls suck, I'm still watching every game because I'm so excited for Kobe's future. The Cavs also have a pretty decent future. Another one of those teams is not playing for much, but Colin Sexton's done the same thing this year as he did last year, where he started off the season, he was all right, but in the second half of the season, he's on fire. And it's the Cavs, so he's not going to get a lot of buzz, and he's not getting a lot of, you know, he's not getting a lot of national attention. But I see you, Colin. I see you going out there hooping. It seems like there's not a game where he shoots under like 60% from a guard, and that's saying something. And I know people are going to talk about his lack of playmaking and everything, but honestly, when I see Colin Sexton, I don't see a point guard, even though he's small in a point guard body. He just reminds me of like a Monte Ellis, bro. Monte Ellis was a bucket. But you ain't look to Monte Ellis to be a supreme playmaker, did you? No, he got you buckets. And Kevin Porter Jr. is another one of those rookies that's starting to flourish late in his rookie season. The Mavericks, man, they've had their rough spots. Porzingis has missed some time. Luka has missed some time. Because you remember early in the season, they were one of the top teams in the Western Conference. And we were like, what? They have the best offense in NBA history? They've cooled down since then, but the offense is still good. I love to see Kristaps finally looking like the all-star Kristaps from, was that 2015? No, that was not 2015. 2017? Whichever year he made the All-Star game, he started to look like that player again. The Nuggets. The Nuggets had this history of being so good that they have so many good players in their bench just riding the bench. And that's Michael Porter Jr., man. When he plays over 20 minutes a game, he's averaging 15. But recently, he's getting a 9-minute here, 4-minute here, 7-minute there. And I'm like, bro, y'all, sometimes y'all blowing out teams and Michael Porter Jr. still not playing double-digit minutes. Now, I don't know if it's just because he's young and Coach Mike Malone doesn't trust him just yet, or is there some underlying injuries he's still worried about. But, man, the dude can hoop. Let him play. You just gave up Malik Beasley and he's averaging a dub. You don't want to fall into that again. We just have so many good players in your roster that can't get PT. The Pistons, another one of those teams not playing for much, pretty much gave up all of the good players on their roster, at least decent players on their roster, except for Derrick Rose and Christian Wood. I was looking at Christian Wood's basketball reference because, of course, I know he's been in the league for a couple years now. The man has been in the league for 5 years and he's played for 5 teams. That's so weird to me because I'm not saying Christian Wood is a god or he's great or anything, but he's definitely good enough to get a multi-year contract, right? Hopefully this is the year. The Warriors, Steph Curry is coming back, bro. He threw us for a curveball. He said he was coming back March 1st. The 3-1 jokes were out there. Then he's like, you know what? I'm not going to do it. But now he's coming back very, very soon. I think I don't remember when the game is, but it's coming up. And I just miss Steph Curry. I think he is one of those players that just you're going to tune in to watch regardless. His team has the least amount of wins in the NBA. I am going to be watching them for the rest of the season because Steph Curry's there. That's just how funny he is. And his numbers for the first couple games of the season before he broke his hand, his wrist, before he had the breakage in his arm area, it wasn't looking good for Steph Curry early in the season. So I know he wants to turn things around, get his shooting percentages up because I think he was shooting 24% from 3 before that. That's not Steph Curry like. So he got in 20 games to come in, put up great numbers, and, potentially ruin his team's lottery odds. Whatever. The Rockets, the small ball thing has been working way better than I've ever could have expected. When they traded pretty much every big man on their team except for Tyson Chandler, who's just a cheerleader at this point, I was very skeptical because in my mind, the big man position is so valuable to have somebody to get the rebounds, to protect the paint, yada, yada, yada. But so far, the only game that they've been destroyed in the paint or destroyed on the glass was that Knicks game from a couple nights ago. All the other games, they're in it. PJ Tucker, I mean, he's a gritty, he's their center at 6'5", and it's incredible. Robert Covington has come, and he's basically the rim protector at 6'7", 6'8". Russell Westbrook is on fire. Like, I don't know what to say about this Rockets team when it comes playoff time, but right now they're fun to watch, and I love to see innovation in anything. I don't know if other teams are going to eventually go super small, but I like that Daryl Morey's like, you know what? Let's just try something new. Nobody has done something like this. Nobody. And it's been successful so far. The Pacers. My boy Miles, man. Miles was on my show, and since then he's been hooping. His PPG, his rebound, that's not going to say it. He hit basically a game-winning clutch shot a few nights ago, and then the night after that, he got a game-winning block. He's been doing his thing, and I love to see friends. Anybody that I meet in the NBA is my friend now. I'm just telling you that. I love to see friends thrive. The Clippers look overpowered. They finally got all of their players healthy. And now they're getting Reggie Jackson has been way better for them than I thought. Marcus Morris has been good. They look super, super scary. And if I were to put my money on a team right now, things can change in 20 games. I put my money on the Clips, bro. They are too deep. One of their star players have a bad game. I can trust Lou Will. I can trust Montrez. I can trust one of those dudes to pick up the slack. Not many teams are that deep in the NBA. And then you got one of the best playoff performers on the team in Kawhi Leonard. I don't know. They're scary. They're scary. I'd be scared, but luckily my team ain't playing for nothing, so I ain't got nothing to be afraid of. Then we get to the Lakers, another team that just looks super, super good. I want to see J.R. Smith on the team. I know there's Dion or J.R. I got a soft spot for J.R. Smith, man, because when he's hot, he's super fun to watch. And he hasn't really played basketball for the past season and a half. I think he's still got some left in the tank. We're going to forget about game one. We're going to forget about game one and just hope that if they do sign him, he comes in and he's an impactful player. Because the Lakers could use a player like him, a guy that can hit more shots. And JR can hit his shots. Dion wouldn't be bad either because he does bring ball handling. And also Dion is one of those dudes that maybe LeBron could turn his career around. LeBron is a powerful man. The Grizzlies, I gotta say, way to bounce back from that loser streak. I was a little afraid for y'all. Y'all know that 8th seed is out there. There's teams on y'all tails. But y'all went from, I think it was a 4-game loser streak. And now they're back on a 3-game win streak. And they're dominating. Like, they dominated the Atlanta Hawks the other night. It's kind of sad. Then they dominated the Brooklyn Nets. So they're starting to put it together because I was a bit afraid for them because they started to suffer these injuries. Jaren Jackson Jr., Brandon Clark is also injured. And I'm like, man, this team really going to lose their playoff spot because of injury? No, they still are in it. Now, if they do lose their spot, I don't think injury is the main thing. They just lost some steam and some other teams picked it up. The Heat. I've said it many times on this show or on this channel before. I love Bam Adebayo, man. That's my entire segment. Bam Adebayo is so fun. Now with the Defensive Player of the Year buzz he's been getting lately, I like it. I don't know if he'll end up winning. I feel like they'll end up giving it to Anthony Davis or Giannis, one of the star players. But Bam is going to be in Defensive Player of the Year conversations for many, many years. The Bucks are fun to watch. I know it's not saying much for the best team in basketball, but even when they lost to the Heat the other night, their formula to success is a lot different than a lot of teams' formulas because they kind of kick it back to the old school days of they pack in the paint. We're going to let you shoot your threes because we know with Brook Lopez, with Giannis, you're not scoring at the basket. Like even with the game against the Miami Heat, the Heat hit like 16 or 18 threes. But they didn't blow the Bucks out. It wasn't a high-scoring game because even with those threes, they couldn't get anything going inside the paint. It's a very weird thing, but if a team gets hot against you, you might be in trouble. I mean, I guess it's kind of what the Raptors did last year. But regardless, like their style of play is very different from a lot of teams in the NBA, and that's what makes it entertaining. Not to mention they got, you know, the 7-foot guard basically dunking on people and now hitting threes. The Wolves. Oh man. The last time I did one of these videos, I said something along the lines of, I can't believe Malik Beasley's not getting minutes on the Nuggets. Go watch it. Go watch it. It's out there. And now he's getting minutes and he's averaging a dub. He just put up 20 against my Bulls. He's been efficient. He's been fun. And honestly, that Wolves team may not defend very well, but if they putting up 130 points a night, who cares if you can play defense or not? The Pelicans are in rough times, man. Tough times. They were just a 7th seed and then they lose 3-4 in a row. And of course, it's not over. Of course, 20 games, a lot of games to catch up, but you got to get it going now. Zion is basically the most fun player in the NBA to watch right now because he's a player I haven't seen ever. He's 6'5", 6'6", but he plays like a center basically. He's bullying everybody, but he also can play make. He's a ball handler. It's the weirdest game ever, but it works. Shout out to Lonzo. Over the last 4 or 5 games, he's been on fire. Just last night, 7 threes, even though they didn't catch the W. I love to see a guy like him thrive after all the stuff that's happened throughout his career. Brandon Ingram is still Brandon Ingram. I like that team a lot, man. I don't know who I want to be the 8th seed. I'm just happy there is some type of competitiveness right now. The Knicks, listen, we can say a lot of things about the Knicks. We can say stuff about Spike Lee. We can say stuff about them just kicking out fans for chanting "sell the team." Just forget the freedom of speech we have here, huh? Nope, not in New York, not in Madison Square Garden. But one thing I do want to shine a light on is RJ. RJ's been playing very well recently, and he's kind of an under-radar rookie. I mean, we always talking about Ja. We're always talking about Zion. Kobe White's getting his buzz, you know. There's rookies that are getting more acknowledgement over him, and because early in the season, he wasn't very good, but recently, he's been good. OKC, love it, love it, love it. Chris Paul, again, is my favorite point guard of all time. Let me clear some things up. Because this is very important. I know this don't make sense to a lot of y'all, but I promise it makes sense to me. Derrick Rose is my favorite player of all time, undoubtedly. But Chris Paul is my favorite point guard of all time. Kenny, Derrick Rose plays point guard. I know. Stop it with the comments. I know. But it's just, it's different. Anyway. Dennis Schroeder's my pick for 6th man of the year. I know Goran Dragic is getting some buzz, especially recently. Dennis Schroeder's my guy, man. It's a playoff team. He's been hot all season long. They have this thing when they do a high pick and roll. Of course, they do it with Chris Paul a lot. But Chris Paul's not in the game. Dennis Schroeder does just as good of a job. The difference is Schroeder's usually, I'm going to score first, while Chris Paul is usually who's open. You know what I'm saying? I love watching this team, though. Shea is one of my guys. The Magic. The Magic have been the Magic, bro. I don't really know what to say about them. Shout out to Terrence Ross for the 36-0-0-0-0 for just scoring the ball and doing nothing else. I did like to see that Aaron Gordon was playing well after the All-Star break, but since then he's cooled off. It's just a very weird team. I don't know many Magic fans. I know one Magic fan. He works for House of Highlights. Shout out to him. We talk to him every time we're in New York. He's the only Magic fan I ever get to talk to. So I don't know what Magic fans think about their team. 76ers are the most confusing team in basketball. Of course, right now they're missing their 2 stars. But though they're absolutely terrible on the road, right? They're absolutely great at home. I wouldn't pick them to win the East, but I can see it happening. I know it's weird. I know it's weird because, I mean, you have to win at least a couple road games to win the East. I think they have the formula to be one of those teams, bro. They are the most confusing team in the NBA, undoubtedly. Because they have nights where you're like, oh man, this team is going to be unstoppable. And then you have nights where you're like, I could stop them. The 5-8, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes it feels like, I don't know. Again, that's just how confusing of a team they are. I know a lot of fans are not super happy about the Al Horford contract now that we're over half of the way through the season and he still hasn't been very good. But Al Horford is a playoff player. He's always been a playoff player, so just give him some time. The Suns, bro, I feel for Devin Booker, man. If it wasn't for Aiden going out for the suspension, I do honestly believe that they have a bigger fight in this race. But recently, them going on a 4-game losing streak is hurting them a bunch. Devin Booker was just streaming on Twitch, and he basically was like, I don't want to talk about basketball. I want to play Call of Duty. I don't want to think about hoops. And I know sometimes you need your getaway, and that's his, man. I feel for the man. Definitely do, especially now that Kelly Oubre is going to miss some time. You know, it's just, I wanted to see them in the playoffs. I was so happy when the season started and they were on fire. It's cool to see Damian Lillard back because if there's anybody that can wheel their team to victory, it is Damian Lillard. He started off the game last night basically pulling from the logo because it's logo Lillard. It's logo Lillard. I don't know what the use of Nurkic timetable is or even if they want him to come back this season. I keep seeing pictures of him practicing though. So maybe he will be back this season. I don't know. I don't know. They're a team that's been riddled with injuries here, there, and everywhere. But I'm happy that Dame is back. The Kings are the hottest team in basketball, bro. Wow. What a turn of events. What a turn of events, because early in the season, I was so mad at them because Luke Walton took this team that was so fun to watch last year, one of the fastest paces in the league. He's like, you know what, De'Aaron Fox, I know the best thing you have in your repertoire is your speed, but let's slow it down, Fox. Let's slow it down, Swiper. But it's been working out. De'Aaron Fox has been one of the least talked about young players in the NBA so far this season because the team hasn't been good. But now I'm starting to see his name pop up on Twitter a little more. The team is winning. And they might be the team to really give the Grizzlies some run. They are the hottest team in basketball, a time where they needed to be hot. Shout out to De'Aaron, man. Shout out to De'Aaron. I'm back. Shout out to Coach Timmy Duncan for getting his first win, even though it doesn't count. I know me and you can say shout out to Tim Duncan, but his record, his coaching record is still 0-0 because in order for you to get an actual win, you had to be an interim coach, not a replacement coach. I know that doesn't make much sense, but y'all remember Luke Walton? Luke Walton took over for Steve Kerr because Steve Kerr had the back problems where he had the back surgery. Luke Walton won like 30-something games. Nope, all of them wins went to Steve Kerr, even though Steve Kerr wasn't even traveling with the team. So Tim Duncan doesn't get credit for that win, but it's cool to see him on the sideline, man. He gave a lot of credit to Becky Hammond and all the other guys on the coaching staff. But Tim Duncan got a win unofficially. The Raps, the next man up mentality is something we always talk about. The Raps embody it to 100% degree. We haven't seen Serge, we haven't seen Mark, but then we have Chris Boucher. And my boy Norman Powell, Stormin' Norman, has been on, I think he's averaging like 20 points per game in the last 15 games or so. Just hot. Just hot, man. This is one of those teams that a lot of people wrote them off. Oh, Kawhi's not there. They can't be contenders anymore. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure, honestly. I know Pascal has slowed down from being the superstar player we saw early in the season, but his teammates are there, and it seems like they're always there. Jazz Twitter is a funny place because I feel like they have a beef with every single organization. They got a beef with the Suns because of the Devin Booker / Donovan Mitchell stuff that always go hand in hand. They got beef with the Rockets because of their playoff series and all that. They just have beef with everybody. They got a little chip on their shoulders, and that's cool. That's cool. But listen, Jazz Twitter, Jazz everybody, because I see you in my comment sections as well. Everybody's not against you. I promise you, bro. Everybody's not against you. And lastly, we have the Wizards, bro. It seems like Bradley Beal a lot of nights are playing 1-on-5. I like Rui Hachimura, but he hasn't been extremely good since the groin injury. Groin surgery. Wow, I think he has surgery. Don't even want to think about that. Yeah, Bradley Beal is playing 1-on-5, and John Wall will be back eventually. Yo, I know we got time. I'm talking about John Wall. Give me a second to talk about John Wall because I miss him a lot, just like I miss Steph Curry. But John Wall has been out for way longer. John Wall has the reputation of getting players paid. Otto Porter got a max contract because he played with John Wall. Jared Dudley got a pretty good contract because he played with John Wall. It's just like if you're a wing player and you're playing with John Wall, you're going to get so many open looks. You just have to make your shots. And that's the type of player John Wall is, man. So I hope that when he does come back, he realizes that Bradley Beal took that step. So maybe John Wall should be the second option, not the first option no more. I don't know if he's that type of personality, though, to just like, it's your team now, Bradley. I don't know. But I do know that when he does come back, the team is going to be a lot better and Bradley Beal will have a little bit more help. That is all. That is me talking about all 30 teams for sometimes for 5 seconds, sometimes for a whole minute. Take it or leave it, baby. If you did enjoy the video, leave it a like. I think I'm done. Peace.